Hey there. Welcome to our deep dive into the life and legacy of Biggie Smalls,
Biggie.
the Notorious B.I.G.
Yes,
One of hip-hop's most influential figures.
absolutely.
You know him for the beats,
Oh, yeah,
for the
for
rhymes,
sure.
but we're going beyond the surface today
Way beyond the surface.
with Holly Lang's biography.
It's a wild story, right?
Yeah,
I mean, this guy
it is a wild story.
goes from hustling on the streets of Brooklyn to becoming a rap superstar.
Yeah.
But there's a dark side, too, right?
Yeah.
Biggie's life was cut short,
Yeah.
tangled up in that infamous East Coast-West Coast rivalry.
That's what makes this deep dive so fascinating for me, at
Oh,
Logan.
sure.
You've got these incredible highs
Absolutely.
and devastating lows.
Yeah.
All playing out against the backdrop of 90s hip-hop.
Yeah, it's like a Shakespearean drama, almost.
Right.
You can't talk about Biggie without talking about the context, the culture that shaped him.
Okay, so rewind with me to 1972.
Okay.
Christopher Wallace is born in Brooklyn.
Brooklyn, New York.
Single-parent home, tough neighborhood.
Classic hip-hop origin story, right?
You get the picture,
Mm-hmm.
but what stands out to you about his early life besides the obvious challenges?
Well, Lang really emphasizes Biggie's intelligence.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, he drops out of high school,
Right.
gets caught up in dealing crack, even does some time in North Carolina.
Right.
But there's this sharp wit,
Uh-huh.
this ability to observe and analyze that shines through.
Okay.
It's almost like he's absorbing everything around him, filing it away for later.
Interesting.
No
So
sound.
you're saying those experiences,
Yeah,
even the negative ones,
especially the negative ones.
become fuel for his music later on?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And it's not just about the content. It's
Yeah.
about his perspective.
Yeah.
You know, Biggie doesn't glorify the street life.
Right.
He lays it bare.
Yeah.
It's raw.
Right.
It's unflinching. And that's what makes it so powerful.
Okay, so you've got this young Biggie navigating the streets.
Yep.
But then, boom, the Source magazine happens.
That's the turning point
Yeah.
right there.
His demo lands in their unsigned hype column.
Yep.
I mean, talk about a turning point.
Huge.
What was the Source back then, for those of us who weren't around?
Okay, think of it as the hip-hop Bible.
Okay.
If you were an aspiring rapper, getting featured in the Source was like winning the lottery.
Wow.
And that's exactly what it was for Biggie.
Really?
Sean Puffy Combs, who was an executive at Uptown Records at the time,
Right.
hears the demo, and he's blown away.
So Combs becomes Biggie's mentor, brings him into the fold at Uptown,
Brings him right in.
and things start moving fast.
Facts.
Guest appearances on remixes, building buzz.
Building hype.
And then in 93, we get Party and Bullshit.
That track was a statement.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a party anthem. It showcased Biggie's unique style, the flow, the storytelling, the lyrical dexterity.
Yeah.
It was clear this guy was on another level.
Okay, I gotta admit,
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest hip-hop head, but even I can hear the difference.
Really?
There's a weight to his words,
Right.
a sense of authority,
Absolutely.
and that's just a taste of what was to come.
Just a taste.
In 1994,
94
Biggie drops Ready to Die,
changes the game.
and the hip-hop world explodes.
Explodes.
This album had such an impact,
Oh, yeah.
Everyone talks about its raw honesty,
Mm.
but can you give us an example, something that really exemplifies that for you?
Well, there's the track. Things Done Changed.
Okay.
You hear Biggie rapping.
Yeah.
Remember back in the days when I used to eat sardines for dinner?
Wow.
It's that vivid imagery,
Right.
that vulnerability that makes it so real.
Wow, that's powerful. You can
Yeah.
feel the struggle, the hunger in those lyrics.
Exactly.
And that's what connected with so many people.
Absolutely.
Biggie wasn't putting on a front.
Oh.
He was sharing his experiences, his pain, his dreams,
And his fears.
and it resonated deeply.
Deep.
But as his career is taking off, his personal life is getting complicated.
Oh, yeah.
He marries Faith Evans that same year.
Right.
But there's also this brewing feud with Tupac Shakur.
This is where things get really messy.
Yeah.
It starts with a shooting incident involving Tupac at a Manhattan studio.
Right.
He accuses Biggie of being involved,
Uh-huh.
and it basically ignites this whole East Coast, West Coast war.
I've read different accounts of what happened,
Oh, there's so many.
but it seems like the media really played a role in fanning the flame.
Oh, absolutely. It
Yeah.
became this sensationalized narrative,
Yeah.
this battle for hip-hop supremacy.
Yeah.
And sadly, it escalated to a level of violence that would eventually consume both Biggie and Tupac.
It's a tragic chapter in hip-hop history for sure.
It is.
But let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Okay.
Even with this feud going on, Biggie's career continues to climb.
It does.
He forms Junior MAFIA,
Mm-hmm.
drops their debut album Conspiracy in 1995.
Yeah.
And what's interesting here is how Biggie's image starts to shift.
It does.
He embraces this more lavish mafioso persona.
Inspired by gangster movies.
Wow, that shift to the mafioso image, that's interesting.
It is.
Do you think that was purely artistic,
Mm-hmm.
or was Biggie reflecting something deeper happening in his life?
That's a great question. It's hard to say for sure. I
Right.
think it was probably a combination of factors.
Okay.
On one hand, Biggie was a brilliant artist, always pushing creative boundaries.
Right.
But on the other hand, he was also living in a world of increasing danger and paranoia.
So this mafioso image,
Yeah.
it's almost like a shield,
Yeah, for sure.
a way of projecting strength and power.
Absolutely. There's definitely an element of that.
Right.
Remember, this is a time when the East Coast-West Coast rivalry is at its peak.
Yeah.
There are real threats,
Uh-huh.
real violence.
Right.
It makes sense that Biggie would want to present himself as someone not to be messed with.
I see your point.
Yeah.
But wasn't there also a calculated aspect to it?
Right.
Like he was deliberately crafting a persona, building his brand.
He was incredibly savvy, no doubt about it.
Right.
Biggie understood the power of image, the importance of marketing himself,
Mm-hmm.
and this mafioso persona. It resonated with audiences.
Wow.
It added another layer of intrigue to his music,
Right.
made him even more compelling.
But it also blurred the lines, right?
It did.
Between reality and performance.
For sure.
You start to wonder how much of it was an act and how much was real.
That's the fascinating thing about Biggie.
Yeah.
He was this complex mix of contradictions.
Right.
Street hustler turned rap superstar, sensitive poet with a gangster image.
Right.
He embraced those contradictions,
Oh, yeah.
played with them,
Yeah.
and it's part of what makes his story so enduring.
Okay, but we can't ignore the tragic ending.
No.
1997, Biggie is shot and killed in Los Angeles.
A sad day for hip-hop.
A case that, to this day, remains unsolved.
Unsolved.
You mentioned the East Coast-West Coast rivalry, but were there other theories about what happened?
Oh, absolutely.
What?
There were a ton of rumors and conspiracy theories swirling around.
Uh-huh.
Some people believed it was connected to the Rampart scandal.
The Rampart scandal.
Yeah, which you might not be familiar with.
No, tell me more.
Basically, it was this huge corruption case within the LAPD in the late 90s.
Okay.
Officers were implicated in all sorts of crimes,
Like what?
including drug dealing,
Really?
robbery, even planting evidence.
Wow.
It was a big mess.
So the theory is that corrupt cops were somehow involved in Biggie's death.
That's one of the theories.
Wow.
Some believe that Biggie's murder was a result of police retaliation, possibly related to his association with Death Row Records, which was known to have ties to some unsavory characters.
Right.
But like everything else with Biggie's death, the truth is murky at best.
It's a frustrating situation, isn't it?
It is.
To have this iconic figure taken from us too soon,
Yeah.
and then no real answers, no justice.
It's heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking.
And it casts a shadow over Biggie's legacy.
Right.
But what's remarkable is that even in death, his influence continued to grow.
Right.
His posthumous releases topped the charts, solidifying his status as a legend.
It's almost as if his music became even more powerful, more poignant after his death.
There's something to that, for sure.
Yeah.
Biggie's music became a way for fans to connect with him, to mourn him, to celebrate his legacy,
Right.
and it's continued to inspire generations of artists.
Speaking of Biggie's influence, his marriage to Faith Evans actually had an impact on his music.
Yes, definitely.
How so?
Collaborating with Faith exposed Biggie to different musical styles and influences.
Yeah.
And you can hear that evolution in his later work.
Okay.
There's a softer side that emerges, a romanticism that wasn't as prominent before.
So even amidst all the chaos and drama,
Yeah,
there's this personal artistic growth happening.
absolutely.
Wow.
And that's what makes studying Biggie so rewarding.
yeah.
There are so many layers to his story.
Right.
So many different angles to explore.
Let's dig into one of those layers, shall we?
Okay, let's do it.
Biggie's lyrical skill.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned his dexterity earlier.
Yeah.
What exactly is it about his flow that sets him apart?
Well, for one, his use of internal rhymes and multisyllabic rhyme schemes was next level. He wasn't just rhyming the last words of each line.
Right.
He was weaving these intricate patterns within the verses, creating a sense of rhythmic complexity that was unmatched.
Okay, so for someone like me who's not a rap expert,
Sure.
can you break that down a bit? Give us an example.
Sure. Take the line from Hypnotize, for example.
Okay.
Pop a twist cabbage off instinct.
Okay.
Notice how he's rhyming cabbage with instinct, not at the end of the line, but internally.
Uh-huh.
And then he follows it up with, nigga, steal your shit and try to convince you that they was with you since.
Okay.
The way he weaves those internal rhymes and multisyllabic rhymes together creates this incredibly smooth, effortless flow.
I hear that.
Yeah.
It's almost hypnotic. Yeah. And that's just one aspect of his skill.
Right.
He also had an incredible ability to play with cadence,
Okay.
to switch up the rhythm and delivery to create different moods and effects.
You know, it's funny. I remember listening to Biggie in high school.
Yeah.
And it was all about the beats, the attitude.
Sure.
But now, listening back as an adult, I'm really struck by the wordplay,
Oh, wow.
the poetry of it all.
I think that's the mark of a true artist, right?
Yeah.
The work continues to reveal new layers, new depths of meaning, even years later.
So we've talked about his rough beginnings, his meteoric rise, the controversies, the tragic ending.
Yeah.
What do you think is Biggie's most enduring impact on hip-hop? Besides the music itself, I mean.
That's a good question. There are so many aspects to consider.
Yeah.
His storytelling ability. For one,
Right.
Biggie brought a level of narrative complexity to rap that was groundbreaking.
He wasn't just spitting rhymes. He was crafting stories, creating characters, painting vivid pictures with his words.
It's like each song is a mini movie, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You get drawn into his world, his experiences.
And he did it with this incredible authenticity,
Uh-huh.
this raw honesty that people connected with.
Right.
He wasn't afraid to show his flaws, his vulnerabilities.
Right.
It made him relatable even when he was rapping about things that were far outside most people's experience.
He was also a master of persona, right?
Oh, for sure.
The way he commanded attention, the way he owned the stage.
There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Biggie had this undeniable charisma,
Right.
this larger-than-life presence that captivated audiences.
Uh-huh.
And it went beyond music.
Oh.
He influenced fashion, he influenced language, he influenced an entire generation.
So we're talking about a guy who came from nothing, rose to the top of the world, and left an indelible mark on music and culture.
Absolutely.
It's almost Shakespearean, this rise and fall, this triumph and
Oh,
tragedy.
good.
And it's a story that continues to fascinate and inspire.
For sure.
Okay, but what does this all mean?
Hmm.
What are the key takeaways from this deep dive into Biggie's life and legacy?
Well, for me, it's a reminder of the power of authenticity.
Okay.
Biggie was true to himself, to
Yeah.
his experiences.
Yeah.
And that resonated with people.
Yeah.
It's also a cautionary tale about the complexities of fame,
Mm-hmm.
the dark side of success.
Yeah.
Biggie achieved his dreams, but it came at a price.
And it reminds us that even in the face of adversity, even in the darkest of times, there's always hope, always the potential for something great.
Biggie's life was a testament to that.
Right.
He came from a world of struggle and emerged as a shining light, a voice for a generation.
Uh-huh.
And his story continues to inspire and challenge us today.
Yeah, it's a story that really makes you think,
It does.
makes you feel.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about Biggie's life, about his music, what
Yeah.
stands out to you?
To me,
Yeah.
it's that raw honesty, that vulnerability that gets me.
Cool.
He wasn't afraid to show his flaws,
Yeah.
his struggles.
Right?
It made him human,
Right.
relatable.
Totally. He wasn't putting on a front.
No,
He was laying it all out there.
absolutely.
The good, the bad, and the ugly.
The whole thing.
And that's what makes his music so timeless.
Yeah,
So powerful.
it's true.
It speaks to something universal.
Mhm.
Something we can all connect with on some level.
Absolutely.
All right, as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of Biggie,
Okay.
let's leave you with a question,
Okay.
something to ponder,
All right.
to spark your own exploration.
Okay, here's one.
Okay.
How might Biggie's life and music have evolved if he had lived longer?
Oh, wow.
What impact might he have continued to have on hip-hop, on American culture as a whole?
That's a big one.
It is.
Would he have continued down that mafioso path?
Right?
Or would he have evolved into something else entirely?
It's hard to say.
I mean, he was only 24 when he died.
So young.
Exactly. And how might his music have responded to the changing social and political landscape?
Yeah.
Think about all that's happened since 1997.
So much.
The possibilities are fascinating.
They are.
And sadly,
It's fabulous.
you'll never know for sure.
We won't.
But what we do know is that Biggie left behind a legacy that continues to inspire, to
Absolutely.
challenge, and to
Mhm.
captivate.
For sure.
So we encourage you to delve deeper into Biggie's world.
Do it.
Explore his music, listen to his interviews, read his lyrics.
All of it.
And as you do, consider the complex social and cultural forces that shaped his life
Yeah.
and tragically cut it short.
Because Biggie's story is more than just a hip-hop tale.
It is.
It's a reflection of our times,
Yeah,
a reminder of the power of music,
absolutely.
and a testament to the enduring spirit of one incredibly talented and complex individual.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the life and legacy of the Notorious B.I.G.